All right, I'm going to get started in a couple minutes here, so please hang on, and I'm going to get started shortly. Let me get set up, please. All right, good evening. It looks like we've got 4 people on here, so I'm still getting set up, and I'm going to start in 1 minute, okay? So please stand by. All right, good evening and welcome to the fourth virtual office hours for the summer GIS class in the Green Mountain College. Tonight I am going to talk about creating data. Specifically, I'm going to talk about georeferencing data. So taking like an old historic picture and bringing that into a GIS, as well as taking some data that's like in a text file and bring that into a GIS, and just creating a shape file from scratch, and maybe some more stuff if I get to it. So with that, I'm going to get started and share my screen. So here we go. Okay, so the first thing I'm going to do is show you how to take some data or create some data from scratch. And basically what I'm going to do here is take a table that contains lat and long coordinates as well as a name attribute and bring them into QGIS. So let me zoom into this. Let's see if I can zoom in. I can't zoom in any closer. But anyway, so in the assignment this week, let's take a look at that really quickly. Let me shift over to that. It says, I guess I'm jumping around here, but please find a journal article or report that provides GPS coordinates or features of interest and import them into GIS. So I'm sort of recreating that here, that concept here, and showing you how to do that. So for example, I could have this really great article about these fine locations in New York City. And I could then take them and create them or create structured data from that. So basically, I'm creating or going to create what is called a CSV file, or a comma separated value file. And here I just did it in a program like Notepad, but you could also do it in Excel. Let me switch over to an Excel view, and this is basically the same thing. So let's see if I can zoom in here. There we go. So I've got a name field where I store the value of the name of the geographic feature I want. I've got an X and a Y coordinate field. So I could conceivably be reading a journal article and fill out this table like this. So let me show you how to bring that into QGIS. It's pretty quick and easy. So let me switch over to the QGIS map. Okay, right now I have a blank map. So I'm going to throw some base data in there just for context. So I'm going to go up to my web menu, which again, unfortunately, you can't see this here. It's unfortunate you can't see me clicking to the menus, but anyway, I'm going to the web menu, the Open Layers plugin that I installed, and I am going to install a Google Maps base map. So here we go, added the map, there it is. And I know my area of interest is in New York City, so I'm going to zoom in to that area, zoom and pan in. Bear with me for a moment. Please excuse my technical difficulties. I'm going to try this again. All right, there. I apologize for that. I have no idea what was going on with the Google Maps layer, but instead of futzing around with it too much, I thought I would just import the OpenStreetMaps. So anyway, to sum up, what I was trying to accomplish here was getting a base map into my QGIS project, and I'm going to add a CSV layer or a flat file that I created. So how you do this, it's pretty simple. You go here on your button menu and you click Add Delimited Text Layer. You click that button and you open a dialog. And again, you can't see this, but I'll take a screenshot of it right now so you can see it in a second. You browse to the file name, which is what I'm doing right now. You give your layer a name. I'm just going to call it Sites in New York City. You select the file format. I'm selecting CSV, which is a comma separated value, which is a very common data format. There's some other options here. Actually, let me take a screenshot of this and I'll open this. I'll show this on the web. All right, here we go. So this is just a screenshot of what I was doing. So again, you browse to your file right here, the browse button. You give your layer a name. You select CSV for comma separated values. I selected that because I'm using a comma separated value, but you could use other delimiters like a pipe or a tab. Here in record options, if you have your column names in the first line, you select this. I'm leaving all these other field options blank, but you can play around with them. What kind of geometry is this? I know this is a point, but you could definitely store polygon data in here if you knew how to do that with well-known text. It's going to ask you what the X and the Y field is. And I think that's good for now. So you want to click OK. And this creates, let me share my screen now, a QGIS layer that gets put on your map. So let me share my screen so you can see that. It's a little hard to see here, but let me bump up the size of this. Excuse my technical difficulties. I'm going to try this again. Okay, I got it to work, and I'm not really sure. That sounds like a horrible answer, what I did, but here we go. I'm going to bump up the size of this so you can take a look. All of my settings were the same when I went through this wizard, so I didn't change anything. Here, let me share that again with you. Here we go. So I didn't change anything here. Just my map didn't render, and I think maybe sometimes with these web services, sometimes you have to nudge the map or something to get it to refresh and get that to work. So there we have it. I was able to create some. Oh, you didn't see that. Let me get back and share my QGIS map again. Here it is. It shows my point features that I added through that text file or CSV file. So it's pretty easy to do that as well, as long as you structure your data nicely. I'm going to show you a couple other things. I'm going to show you two things. I'm going to show you how to edit existing data and create data from scratch, like create a shapefile from scratch. So I've got some parks data from New York City that I'm going to add with the layer. Add vector layer. I'm going to browse for it. And add that to my map. And this you could think of as maybe an incomplete parks layer. Whoa. For New York City. So you can see you have Central Park here and Washington Square Park. So what I'm going to show you is how you can digitize with QGIS. And I'm going to digitize Tompkins Square Park here in New York City. So to do that, it's really easy. You right-click on your layer, and you select Toggle Editing. There's a context menu here. Let me take a quick screenshot of that, just so you can see. Give me a second. Actually, it's not letting me do that. Another thing you can do, another option, so sorry about that, but the way I generally do this is I right-click on the layer in the table of contents and I say Toggle Editing. But you can't see that here, so I'm going to show you a different method. You highlight the layer that you want to edit, and you go up to this pencil button and you say Toggle Editing. And what that's going to do, it's going to activate this toolbar, editing toolbar. So I want to add a new feature. So I can do it by clicking that button, and then I just start digitizing on my map. And here we go. I have digitized Tompkins Square Park. Click OK, and now it's available on my map. You can also use this move layer. And you can also adjust the nodes on your layer and add new nodes with this node tool. And then when you're done, you can toggle your edits and click Save. And now you've added a new feature to your layer. I'm going to take a second here and ask if anyone has any questions, and I'm going to check the Hangout and see if there's any questions, or feel free to ask them here through the questions. Okay. Looks like there's no questions right now. So I'm going to move on. So that was a real quick introduction on how to edit an existing shapefile. So you could augment shapefile you have already. So I'm going to show you now how you can add a brand new shapefile. So you go up to your layer menu, create layer, and select the new shapefile layer option. And I was actually able to get a screenshot of that, so I'm going to share that. It's not the best screenshot, but I think you get the idea. Here you go. So you can see up here in layer, create layer, new shapefile layer. So when you select that, it's going to open a dialog. It's going to ask you, actually, let me share this too. then I'll start talking about it. All right, so it's going to ask you what type of layer you want to create. I'm going to create a line layer. Let's say we want to digitize a path here in New York. Don't worry about the file encoding, just use the default. It's going to ask you a coordinate system. And for the general rule of thumb, I suggest using the coordinate system of all your other data layers or your base map layer, just in general. So that's just a general rule of thumb, because these things can get pretty complicated and hard to work with pretty quickly. You're going to give your layer attributes here. So you might want a name attribute, which is text data, or you might want like a size attribute. Hold on a second. I lost my mouse. So I'm starting this over again. Excuse me. Okay, I'm going to share this again and walk through this one more time. Okay, so you can see I have my new layer dialog here. I selected a line for the layer type. I left the encoding by default. I specify a CRS that is the native coordinate system of the base map. I've given my thing 2 attributes, name and size, for my trail. And then you click OK. And at that point, it's going to ask you to give your layer a name. And I'm just going to call it trails. So let me do that real quick. All right, so as soon as I did that, my trails layer was added right to my map. So let me share my QGIS screen and then you can see that. So I'm going to zoom out here and start digitizing this waterfront trail here. So again, to start editing on a layer, you highlight it and click the toggle editing button, or you can right click it and select toggle editing. So once I do that, I'm going to select create a new feature, and I'm going to start digitizing here. You can see that it's faint along there along the screen. Oops, I did a pretty poor job of doing that. Right click when I'm done and when you're done, the attribute window is going to come up. I'm going to toggle my editing, save my edits. I'm going to change the size and color of this so you guys can see it better. And there's my trail. So this is brand new data that I created from scratch with very little effort. So far I've shown you three things, right? I've shown you how to add a CSV file, which I'll do that again. Actually, there's one more thing I wanted to show you about that. So I'm going to add that really quick. Oh, there it is again. I'm sorry. It's already there. So it's just called data here. I'm sorry. So I showed you how to create that from a CSV file. I showed you how to edit this parks data by adding or manipulating the features in it. And I showed you how to create a brand new shape file in QGIS. So I'm going to take a second here and again, and I'll be back in a second to talk about final evening. So, all right, Chris, so far, and Suzanne asked, what is the advantage of, so Suzanne, digitizing is a common sort of technique in GIS, and it's used to sort of capture things. So the instance of this map right here. So what if there was no the parks in New York? It would have to create it somehow. And one is to digitize through a software. There are other programs and stuff who there's still a lot of hand digitizing done so far. So for you guys, it would be a great technique for you to create some data. And as you and for the assignment, it's really, you don't really have to do anything over complex. What I did here be done. So that's about it. I hope that answers your question. With that said, I'm going to move on to my final topic of the evening, which is georeferencing. And I'm going to preface this by saying by no means am an expert at doing this. I know how to do this on a basic level, but it's actually pretty cool. So, all right, so I'm going to keep working in this New York City map. And before I move on, I'll show you what I'm going to do. So let's see here. I got to find the picture that or the map that I'm going to georeference. And let me find that. Open it up. So I found this pretty interesting subway map of New York City from the 50s. I think it's pretty cool. And I'm going to bring this into QGIS and overlay it on the map that I've been working on this evening. So I'm going to give that a try. So again, I'll be working as I can with the software here, and I'll get you the best screenshots that I can. So, all right, I'm going to jump back into QGIS. And let me turn off my other layers for now. I'm going to zoom out a little bit because I got to get the map to the right scale. Here we go. And I'm going to do a quick and dirty job on this. So what I'm going to show you takes a little finessing, but I'm going to get the job done quick and dirty. So how you start this process of georeferencing is you go up to the raster menu. Give me a second. I might not have the plugin. On my other computer, I did, and it came with the latest build of QGIS. So give me 2 seconds while I get that set up. Hold on a second. All right, it says I have it installed. Hold on a second. Oh, it's right here in front of my face. I apologize. So anyway, you go up to the raster menu. Let me get a good screenshot of this. Georeferencer, and select the georeferencer option. And let me see if I got that screenshot. Here we go. Again, you go up to your raster menu, georeferencer, and select the georeferencer option. Sorry, that's a little light. And once you do that, it's going to open a dialog, or it's going to open up the georeferencer palette or canvas. And let me see if I can share that. Oh, awesome. It is going to let me share that. So it brings up another application within QGIS. So the first step you want to do is bring in your raster into the georeferencer. You click the button up here called, let's see, what's it called? Open Raster. Or you can go up into File, Open Raster. It does the same thing. So you click on Open Raster. You navigate to the raster that you want to bring into QGIS. And again, I'm bringing the New York City data into it. And then you need to do what's called defining control points on your map. So basically, what you're going to do is you're going to select this button up here next to the gear. It's called Add Point. You want to find a control point that you can reference on this map as well as your base map, or if you know the discrete coordinates of that, you can use that as well. So let me just click this and then I'll show you what I'm talking about. So you click Add Point, you click on the map here. I'm going to click on the north edge, northwestern edge of Central Park, and actually on the screen it's a little off, but I think you'll get the idea. I'm going to click on that, and then that opens up a dialog. So let me take a print screen of that so I can show you. So right here, this is what I was talking about. If you know the X and Y coordinates, say of the northwestern part of Central Park, you could enter them into this dialog box here. However, for me, and right now, how I'm going to demonstrate, it's much easier if you use this button called From Map Canvas. So what that's going to do is, if you select that button, it's going to minimize the georeferencer window and allow you to click on the map, the associated point in your QGIS project. So I clicked on the north western boundary of Central Park in my raster, in my image. I'm going to click on the northwestern part in my QGIS project. So I hope that makes sense. I know there's a couple tutorials out there on the web that you can use that will walk you through this as well. So I'm going to do this really quickly. So I clicked on the northwestern most part of Central Park. I'm going to do the same on my map. So I'm going to do that. I'm going to click this From Map Canvas button. Clicking on the northwest part of the park, it's going to populate that dialog, and I'm going to click OK. And I'm going to add a few more control points. So the boundaries of the park are pretty easy, so I'm going to add those. I'm clicking the northeastern part from my map canvas again. I'm doing the southwestern from the map canvas. I'm doing the southeastern. And then I'm going to get some other points here, like the northernmost part of the island of Manhattan in Inwood. I might as well do the southern part. And let me share this so you can see as I add the points. Okay, so also I can use things like the bridges as landmarks. So I could use the George Washington Bridge up here. If I click here, and I think you can see here a new dot came up. Maybe I'll click the Randall's Island Bridge up here. I could click the Williamsburg Bridge down here. And as you can see, I add all these points to this raster. And now the next thing you got to do is you got to set some transformation settings. Let me take a screenshot of this, and I'll talk through it. All right, and let me share the screen. All right, so I'm going to fill out this dialog here. And I'm going to start with the transformation type. And I'll admit I don't really know a lot about this, but from everything I've seen, they suggest using thin plate spine. So I would suggest that at all. I would leave the resampling method to the default. Compression, I would leave it none. You need to give your output raster a name and location. I'm going to do that right now. It's going to ask you for a target spatial reference system. And again, I can't urge enough to try to keep all the coordinate systems of your map data the same. Generate PDF map and report. I've never used either one of these, so I don't know what they do. And then that should do it. But I assume, let's give it a try and see what happens. And again, sometimes these options might look different depending on the version of QGIS you use. And this on my laptop here looks totally different than what I was using today to practice and set this up on at work. So just throwing that out there. So some of your options might, and your dialogues might look slightly different than this. So I'm still setting up and filling out this dialogue. My PDF's names. And I'm going to check the button here that says use 0 for transparency when needed, because if you don't do that, you're going to get some black wonkiness on your screen. And then I'm also going to select load into QGIS when done. I'm going to click OK, and that's going to close the dialog. And then let me move back to my georeferencer screen. When you're done with all that, you want to select this button up here, which is the georeference button. Or you can go up to File and start georeferencing. So I'm going to click that now. And it brought into my QGIS, which I will share with you right now. So, as you can see, there is a bit of weirdness here, but that's okay. Like I said before, when I first started talking about this, these are things that you need to finesse. But you can see here where my control points are and how they lined up nicely. So if let's zoom in here. If I had taken some more time, you can see right here, my park looks okay. But if I had taken some more time and done a bunch more control points, I probably could have gotten a much better result. But like I said, I was just going to give a quick and dirty example of this, which I think gives you the general basic idea of what's happening here. And, you know, it's not all that bad, I guess. It's not great, but there it is. So with that, I think that's all I'm going to talk about for tonight. So to sum up, I showed you how to create data from scratch from a text file. I showed you how to edit existing shapefiles through QGIS, as well as create your own shapefiles from scratch, and georeferencing. So armed with that, you should be able to succeed with this week's work, which involves creating your own GIS data and using you know, one or more of those methods to create a map. So I think that's it. And with that, I'm going to open this up and see if there's any questions. And if not, I'm going to hang out for a little bit, and I can always answer questions individually throughout the week as well. So I hope that was helpful, and I think I'm going to stop talking now. So, all right, thank you. Okay, so there's a question. So, Josh, I was trying to georeference, but never knew hit start. Okay, thanks for clarifying. Map came out great. Oh, good. Chris, glad that worked. So, yeah. Yeah. So, it's like I said, I don't know. I'm not an expert at this, but yeah, I got the job done. So, glad it worked out for you. All right. I'm going to hang out too here for a little bit, so in case anyone else has any more questions.